Well, greetings and hello there. Welcome back to another edition of the Fantasy Golf Sommelier. And this week we have the Honda Classic. There's going to be carnage everywhere. It's a very difficult course. Cannot wait to give you my prize picks plays for the week. But first, make sure you like this video. And you know what? Let's get a comment out there. I want to comment on who is your most unpredictable player that you play week in and week out, the guy that you never can get right. Okay. That's what I want to hear in the comments because I got a ton of them. All right. I've done this long enough. I got a lot of players on that list. Here's another thing also. We're talking about Pinot Noir tonight. Okay. And I'm having one right now. It's by a little vineyard, The Calling, which actually has a golf background. I'll tell you that about that in a little bit. And I'm also going to tell you about why Pinot Noir is the most unpredictable grape that there is out there. It's kind of like picking golfers, okay? Very unpredictable, and just like this week. I mean, this is going to be an unpredictable week, so that's why I chose The Calling. But first, I got to get into the plays of the week. Okay, we always start with the pop the cork. Pop the cork play. Man, let me talk. Let me start again. So we always start with the pop the cork, and the pop the cork play this week is going to be Shane Lowry. Now, this is a guy that I'm getting him out of the wine cabinet, okay, out of the cellar. All right, he's one of my favorite wines that I don't normally like to touch, but I'm going to drink it this week, and I'm going to drink me some Shane Lowry. Okay, going to drink some Shane Lowry. I love him this week in everything you do, whether it's betting, whether it's DFS, and of course on prize picks. And here's where I like him on prize picks. I like a couple plays for Shane Lowry. One is I like the under set at 69 for round one. Okay, remember this is a par 70 course. It's very difficult, as I've mentioned, and I'm probably going to mention that 1,000 times in this video, but it is a difficult course. But I think he can at least get to 69 and under. Okay. And, here's the thing, he's got two par fives out here that he could score on. All right. He's a very consistent player, doesn't make a whole lot of bogeys. I love that this week. Bogey avoidance, I think, is a stat that's underrated or not looked at enough when you get on very difficult courses like this. There's a lot of water out there. You just cannot make any big numbers. So I like the under 69 here for Shane Lowry. Also, I like the over on greens and regulation, which is set at 11.5 for round one. Okay. He's fourth in this field in strokes gained approach. He's also top 15 in greens and regulation. Again, Shane Lowry is just a very consistent player, great ball striker, tee to green. I think he's going to have a good week. And I think this is a good week to play him in round one for prize picks. All right. Let me get a little sip of wine here. I got to pour a little more in this glass. This Calling is fantastic. So I mentioned that there's a little bit of a golf background to the Calling. Well, the reason is because our good buddy and announcer Jim Nance is behind this wine. He is one of the. I don't know if he's a winemaker. He probably just pays a lot of money and gets to put his name on the bottle. But his name is on the bottle. It's on the back. You can't see it, maybe. Jim Nance. He's on there. He's right up there at the top. Anyway, so there's a little golf thing here with the Calling. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the Boone's Farm fade of the week, and this is the one that I'm going to force myself to take an under on. And for me, that's the under on fairways hit for Tommy Fleetwood. Tommy Fleetwood is not the same golfer that you and I know from a few years ago. Okay, he's just not. Now he has played well here in the past, whatever. I don't think course history is as big of a deal on this course as most people might say, or most people might think I would, because I'm kind of a big course history guy. But look, Tommy Fleetwood is not hitting fairways. He's 132nd in this field in driving accuracy. There's only 144 players, so that tells you a little bit there that he's not hitting any fairways. He's not really as good of a ball striker as he has been over the many years that he's played. Um, so I think that Fleetwood is not going to hit 9 fairways. I think it's going to be the under for him there. These are tough fairways to hit, and I don't like it. So I'm going to go with the under on fairways hit for Tommy Fleetwood as the Boone's Farm fade of the week. Okay. A few tasting notes on the Calling here. A lot of cherry in here. which you tend to get a little bit with some Pinot Noir, little fruity type flavors, but it's not quite as bold as maybe a Cabernet is. But you got some fresh strawberry, little orange zest in there. Orange zest is interesting. You don't really taste that as much, but in this one you do. Um, but it's a real kind of subtle, velvety flavor to it. Okay, and by the way, this is from the Russian River Valley. Um, that's in California, though. Okay, it's not in Russia, so we're not. I'm not drinking an aggressive wine right here. Um, but anyway, it's very clean, bright, just a good overall Pinot Noir, and I love that. And I'm going to talk a little bit also about why Pinot is so difficult, and it's a unpredictable wine, or really grape to grow. And but I think that makes it interesting. But let's get into the final play of the week, and that is going to be the FGS Reserve Play of the Week on Prize Picks. And this is an overplay, so this is my overplay of the week, and that is going to be over 4.5 strokes on hole number 18 for Brooks Koepka. Yes, I'm going to do that to Brooks Koepka this week. Now, this is interesting. One of the reasons I put this play in here is because it's a little bit of an addition that Prize Picks have put in there. They're going to let you take some over and unders on holes during the round. And the 18th hole at PGA National is actually one of the easier holes on the course, but there are only two par fives. Okay, number 3 and number 18, which are actually the two holes that you can place over or an under pick on this week for Prize Picks. But the thing about 18 is actually is a little bit more difficult than you think. The stroke average is just under 5. It's like 4.8 traditionally, and it is going to rank as one of the easier holes, but that's because there's only two par fives on this course, and they're the ones that they can score on, because everything else is just really hard. Okay, so I think that Kepka is going to go over 4.5 strokes on day one on hole number 18. Here's a little stat as to one reason I think that's going to happen. He is 88th in the field in par five scoring over his last 24 rounds. So lately, hasn't really been scoring like you would think for Brooks Koepka. As I said, this is a sneaky difficult par five, even though it looks pretty easy on the scorecard. So I'm going to go with the over on 4.5 strokes for Brooks Koepka this week on hole number 18. Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about Pinot Noir and the grape and how difficult it is and unpredictable, which I like this week. I think it's a good theme for a week like this that we have on tour. You know, even the late Andrei Tishlitshev, California's greatest winemaker, once acknowledged this. He said, anybody can make great Cabernet, but he said, even a fool can make that. But only a fool would try Pinot Noir. Okay. And here's the thing about this grape that makes it so interesting to me is that it's one that, it can be aggravating. It's tough to grow. It gets affected a lot by the weather, more so than any other grape. It gets affected by pests and disease and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of like water out on the golf course. It's a big old pest. It's like a disease out there. And it just takes a lot of care. And then after all the work that you do with a Pinot Noir grape to try to just create this great wine, the like all these variables can happen to it to make it just suck, okay? And basically be like a big trunk slammer that you would see on tour. So I think that's interesting about Pinot Noir. But then when you make it right and it turns out so good, like this calling is, it's even better. It tastes even better because of all that work and care that went into just making a really good wine, even though you had all of these factors going against you, you know? And that's what I love about Pinot Noir is it's not easy. Okay. It takes a little bit of work. It takes some fortitude. It takes a little bit of heart in there. And that's what I think these guys this week are gonna have to do. They're gonna have to be patient. They're gonna be patient with it. They're gonna have to understand that things are gonna happen that they never thought would happen. But then if they just stay with it, you know, strike the hell out of their golf ball, they're gonna come out with maybe a victory or whatever. Or maybe just a good glass of wine afterwards after they shoot 70. Anyway, That's all I got this week. I'll be back next week with another edition of the Fantasy Golf Sommelier. See, this is what happens when you drink. That's all I got this week. I'll be back again with another edition of the Fantasy Golf Sommelier next week. I appreciate you listening. That's all I got.